Do you have a product in your SolidWorks library that you'd love to evolve but can't because the model is an absolute mess? Or do you need to modify the model from a less experienced designer to get something ready for manufacturing? In this video, I'm going to show you the process I take to clean up a feature tree in SolidWorks, organizing features into groups and leaving a neatly organized model ready for whatever comes next. And if you watch to the end, I'll show you where I've taken this model with a product evolution. So here's where we start, something that's messy, hard to understand, not easy to hand over. Here's where we want to get to, something that's organized, easy to evolve. Okay, let's talk about what's going on here with this time lapse. This is 6 hours of work compressed into 6 minutes. That's 60 times the original speed. So apologies if you can't quite make it out on the video. Did you know that you can hit the YouTube settings icon in the bottom right corner of the screen and change the playback speed? You can slow the video down to 25% of its original pace. So give that a go if there's any little elements here that you want to go back to. Now back to the model. My aim is to maintain the geometry, but clean up the model. We're doing this to make it possible for others to use this model and make changes in the future with minimal fuss. That means removing obsolete features and sketches, moving the driving sketch to the top of the feature tree, or in this case, actually creating a driving sketch, and reordering the feature tree to group associated features into respective folders. As I start this process on this model, I was moving up and down the feature tree to learn about the model and inspect the features that I could do something with. The easiest features to pick out for reordering are edge features, think fillets and chamfers, used on the edges of your model, typically when the rest of the geometry is done. You want to move these to the bottom of your feature tree and stick them all in one folder. Where there are 2 fillets using the same dimension, if they can be achieved using 1 fillet feature rather than 2, then they should. Combine them, then delete the obsolete feature. Keep in mind that edge features used to make major changes to geometry should remain in order with their surrounding features. See example here. Fillet 32, which is a full round fillet done as part of the geometry for the clamp top. The next element to group to second bottom in the tree are any draft features that aren't key to other geometry. This model is of a metal part with CNC finishing, so there aren't any draft features to move here. But in other examples, draft features and edge features are actually done in child parts, not here in the master file. So as I'm progressing through this process, I'm taking note of what the key elements of the design are and giving them names. As I do this, I create folders for these elements and start moving associated features into those folders. There doesn't need to be too many. This model has 10 folders. I'm only renaming key features. Most feature names remain unchanged and are simply grouped into those folders. As you can see, I'm working my way from the bottom up. The trickiest element of this design to maintain while simplifying was the surfacing features of the top clamp. You can see I spend quite a bit of time on this aspect of the geometry. There may have been a simpler method to simplifying this feature, but in the back of my mind, I also knew that I'd be modifying this for the new product I'd be developing. So this leads me to spend extra time on making it robust, meaning when I push and pull the geometry, changing dimensions, the features remain active and error-free. A good way to test your model robustness is to change a few of the driving dimensions and see what happens, but always save beforehand. Now we're nearing a point in the model where I'm comfortable with the reordering that has taken place and what the key areas of the geometry are. So I've got a lot of my folders named and I've started to move a lot of those elements into those folders. Everything now is actually in those folders I've created. My goal now is to bring all of the key driving elements back to a singular driving sketch at the top of the feature tree. Some of these elements are planes that we use as sketch references. My preference when I'm drawing, sketching, is using sketches as sketch references and have it all in one drawing. To replace those planes, I created new sketch elements in the driving sketch, then updated the feature references to refer to that sketch rather than the original planes. Once the references changed, I could go back and delete those planes, and that's what I've managed to do here to clear a lot of those planes out from the earlier sections of the feature tree. Other elements were more complicated. To maintain the shapes and locations of features, we need a workaround to move the sketch up to the top of the tree from where it was down below. There is a method I've used to achieve this quickly, and I've used that repeatedly in multiple models since. First, I will identify the sketch or feature that I want referenced in the main driving sketch. Next, I would create a new sketch below that, convert the required sketch elements, so copy them, and importantly, I then delete the converted entity sketch relation. With no parent relationship associated with a new sketch, I'm able to drag it all the way to the top of the feature tree. And then in my key driving sketch, which would be, 1 or 2 steps below that, I can redraw that sketch element, but now give it relations within that driving sketch. So I'm basically copying a sketch element that's down low, moving all the way to the top to my driving sketch, and then re-adding relations within that sketch to the rest of the model, the rest of the elements, or the origin. Once you've done that, then you go back to the feature that's related to that sketch, or the feature driven by that sketch, change the reference from the original sketch to the new driving sketch. With that done, you can now delete the obsolete sketch and your model is one step closer to perfection. Now, towards the end of the time lapse here, you can see I begin playing with the driving size of the model. This hints at what my next project was going to be, while also demonstrating my previous example, talking to the robustness of your modeling. At this point, I'm really close to the end. I'm pushing and pulling the model, seeing what breaks, what needs tweaking, refining those elements, getting rid of the final obsolete features or trying to simplify and reduce as many features as possible. Feeling really comfortable with what I've created. At the end, it's, moving some sketches, some separate features, but into that driving sketch as well, this little plug feature, getting that right back up to the top and making sure that that works in with everything else too. The main thing to think about with this process is it's a learning process, okay? This whole time, this is a duplicate file that I'm working on, okay? Obviously, you've got backups, you've got copies, so there's nothing to be lost from experimenting here except your time. And I would really recommend, if you want to get good at this stuff, you've got to invest the time. There's no shortcut around that. Now, I told you if you'd stick around to the end, I'd show you where we took this file. So the cleaned up version of the master file is here with a standard size, fitting an original size of 35 millimeters for the bar. And where we went to is here. This is our large handlebar clamp, with that internal dimension going from 35 to 53.8. And you can see some geometry changes. And then here on the side will be one of the promotional videos from Quadlock, minus the sound. If you want to check it out, just jump on their socials, you'll find it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something from my process here. Is this something that you need to do in your workflow? Do you have old models or work from other people in your organization that you need to clean up or organize to have models cleaned up? I am offering, for a limited time, free one-on-one coaching. Jump in the links below, hit me up with a message or an email or book in, and let's see if I can help you out. Okay. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.